Saturday and Sunday night, 8 Eastern.
So, Florida, you know that you're going to have to hang on to your hats because from now until Election Day, it may get kind of rough.
It may get kind of rough. Well, it sort of feels like we're already there. Lots of personal attacks in the home stretch and some pretty big risks for the campaigns. With me here to talk about this, CNN senior political analyst Jeffrey Toobin, Republican strategist Kevin Madden, former Mitt Romney National Press Secretary, who now supports John McCain, and Errol Lewis, who's New York Daily News columnist and host of the morning show at New York's WWRL Radio. Welcome to everybody. Kevin, Ed Henry told us just a second ago the McCain campaign is amping up the rhetoric. They're portraying Obama as risky, even dangerous. Some say, though, they have gone too far. This is the New York Times editorial today. They have gone far beyond the usual fare of quotes taken out of context and distortions of an opponent's record in the dark territory of race baiting and xenophobia. Are they crossing the line here, Kevin?
Look, I don't think so. I mean, look, there's a big difference between negative campaigns, which are when you look across the aisle and you point at your opponent and you say, this guy's a crook. And when you look across the aisle and you talk about your opponent in terms of why they're wrong. And that is perfectly acceptable in the context of a policy debate and where you're going to take the country, your ideas for the future. And I think that's what the McCain campaign is doing. They know that there are very real doubts lingering doubts about Barack Obama with a lot of swing voters. And since they believe that, these voters believe that Barack Obama is somehow risky, somehow an unknown, and he's untested, that they're trying to solidify those doubts. And that's how they win on Election Day in many of these swing states.
Can you guys reconcile that with what we're seeing on the campaign trail? Errol?
No, not at all. You know, it would be one thing if there were, in fact, expressed doubts. But, you know, you look at the polling data, you look at the numbers in state after state where swing state voters are moving away from the McCain-Palin ticket. So it's not that they're exploring doubts, they're trying to create doubts. They're sowing them where they don't exist. And when you ask them about it, what is it exactly that you're getting at? Are you saying that he's a terrorist? Are you saying that he's a member of the Weather Underground? Are you saying he's a Manchurian candidate? And they say, oh, well, we don't know. We just have to ask these questions. It's a despicable kind of a strategy. It doesn't seem to be particularly effective.
That's the thing that strikes me, is how totally ineffective it's been so far. I mean, here we are in the middle of this extremely serious economic situation, and they are talking about someone who is completely unknown to the vast majority of the American people.
When you say
Bill Ayers, who was a terrorist in the late 60s, that Obama appears to have had a very tangential connection to. The answer that every ordinary voter appears to be, so what? And I don't know what the answer is.
Kevin, Jeff has a point here. You're not saying, and this strategy has now been employed for a number of days, I think, you know, since we've seen Palin on the trail pushing this, it doesn't seem to be working.
Well, look, its effectiveness is definitely in question. I think that at the end of the day, if you make your central message in this campaign about personality and about figures like Bill Ayers and Tony Resco, John McCain's going to have a hard time winning. But if it is a component message to the larger issues involved, risk and somebody who's risky and somebody who's untested on issues related to the economy, on issues related to national security, then John McCain has a chance to convince those swing voters that he's the best candidate and that Barack Obama is not somebody who's prepared to be president and would take the country in a decidedly wrong direction on those big issues. I would disagree with Errol on one point. You would presume that if he was going out there creating doubt, that he would just, you know, cede those voters to Barack Obama. And from a campaign tactic standpoint, you have to go out there and hammer away at those voters' doubts and reinforce the fact that John McCain is the tested politician here. He's the person with the experience, and Barack Obama is not.
Quickly, Errol, let me just ask you on the other side, because you have heard a number of people on the left playing up this comment. I mentioned it earlier, that one that McCain made at the debate last night in reference to Obama, and some people saying that that was racial, that they felt there were racial undertones to that comment. I mean, do you risk crying wolf? You know, when you point out racism, when it's questionable whether it's there or not, you know, and it undermines the real, you know, instances.
I thought about it for a long time. The comment struck me as a little bit odd, and I thought about it. Maybe that's the way they talk in Phoenix. I didn't know what it was. Maybe it's a generational thing. Maybe it was just, you know, who cares, right? But I took a lot of calls. We talked about it on my show, And really, I came to realize that in the context of all the other stuff that we've been talking about, he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. You know,
well,
so I wouldn't call it racially tinged. But if somebody did, I don't think he's entitled to it.
As a former Phoenician, I never heard it in Phoenix. I didn't think it was racist, but I thought it was like a grumpy old man. I thought it was rude, which is not as bad as racist, but it's not good either.
Okay, guys, you're going to stick around. We got more to talk about. We're going to get back to them later. Tomorrow, also, is Sarah Palin the answer to the prayers of evangelical women? Take a listen to this.